The year is 2000. Deftones had just released their third studio album, White Pony. The band spent 4 months in the studio recording the album. Bassist Chi Chang said, "We didn't feel like we had anything to lose, so we made the record we wanted to make." This would pay off, as White Pony is seen by fans and critics as their best work to date. During the recording process of White Pony, the band had begun using really hard drugs. They did a ton of drugs and the album ended up being successful, so they decided to do the same thing for their 2003 self-titled album. They also decided to bring back the producer for their first 3 albums, Terry Date. Unfortunately, this time the album wasn't as well received. To this day, the album is still heavily overshadowed by White Pony. That's not to say this album was a massive flop by any means. In fact, it went gold in the US, Canada, and Australia, and it went silver in the UK. This album would also peak at number 2 on the US Billboard 200. With many critics and many more fans though, this album is seen as a weak follow-up to White Pony. However, I think this is one of the most underrated albums, and in my opinion, one of their best. The album in general is much darker and muddier than the previous albums for sure. The guitars were tuned lower and had a muddier tone, and overall the more raw sound to contrast the digital elements included in White Pony. Lyrically, this album was also much darker. While White Pony was more focused on telling stories and putting images in people's minds, this album had lyrics more personal, mostly relating to the breakup of Chino Moreno. I'm going to go through this album track by track, give my thoughts and opinions, and even some facts about each song. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy. This album immediately tells you that this is no White Pony Part 2 with Hexagram. This song was the second single released for the album, containing the song Lovers as a B-side. The cover art of the single was made by artist Elliot Ray. This song would also get a music video showing the band playing in a building for a bunch of people. This song contains lead singer Chino Moreno absolutely shredding his vocal cords with some of the most blood-curdling screams on a Deftones track.
I trust everyone quicker without me.
This makes the fact that he had paralyzed some of his vocal cords during the album making process a lot more obvious. The meaning of this song is mainly about a car bomb. The true meaning of this song is one that's been debated by a ton of people in the Deftones community. But the way Chino puts the image of a ticking car bomb is almost chilling, and the blood-curdling scream he does just adds to it. Needles and Pins is a worthy follow-up to such a punch in the throat like Hexagram. This song immediately kicks off with a guitar riff that just sticks in your head for a while. This song also features backup vocals from the late Chi Chang that stand out on this track in particular, and they honestly add a lot to the song. Rest in peace. This song mainly serves as sort of a message to their fans. This song seems to be a fan favorite for a lot of people, and it's honestly pretty easy to see why. It's a certified Deftones classic. Minerva was the lead single for the album and is still the most popular song from the record as well. It's easy to see why this song is so huge. This song feels like ascending in musical form. The keyboards from Frank Delgado on this track just add a lot to the feeling of floating through space. This song is in direct reference to Chino breaking up with his at the time girlfriend. And this song is basically talking about how he didn't feel much after hearing the words "It's over."
I get all no when she sings it's over.
After the first 2 songs, this song really switches the mood without ruining the pace of the album. This song is, to this day, seen as one of the greatest Deftones songs, and I gotta agree. Good Morning Beautiful is one of the most overlooked songs on this album. Personally, I love how melodic the verses are and how the chorus sounds a bit more evil sounding with the line, "You should wake up." This is another song about Chino's breakup. This song seems to mainly be about how Chino was using drugs and how it heavily damaged his relationship. He almost seems desperate to keep the relationship throughout this song. Deathblow is my personal favorite song from this album. and it's one of my favorite Deftones songs of all time. This song and Minerva are the two most angelic songs on this album. This song is a great follow-up to Good Morning Beautiful in the sense that this song also relates to Chino's relationship being broken by drugs. Only this time the relationship is at its absolute breaking point. This is sort of referenced in one of my favorite Deftones lyrics, "The ropes hang to keep us all awake." The chorus in this song in particular makes me feel a sea of emotions every single time. Easily one of the most creative songs Deftones has put out in my opinion.
It's hella sensitive.
When Girls Telephone Boys starts off with a spoken intro before immediately grabbing your throat with the opening line. Said line being one of my favorites in Deftones lyrics.
Always the same old days, just new entries.
This entire song is screamed by Chino. Sure, he's using vocal distortion, but it adds to the anger and passion that this song has. The riff in the chorus is extremely simple, but also just extremely nasty. The title of this song relates to the meaning. This song is about a relationship where one person says they'll call and never does. This causes the other person to become extremely worried and furious, the perspective shifting depending on what part of the song it is. The verses are from the boy's perspective, and the chorus is most likely from the girl's perspective. Overall, this is one of Deftones' most angry, heavy, and unforgiving tracks. Battle Axe kicks off side 2 of the album. This song is about Chino's failing relationship, a common theme in this album if you couldn't already tell. This song is mainly about how Chino's girlfriend would always fight with him. This makes Chino believe that she is crazy and even saying that she believes she's always been this way. Oh, God. If you didn't say bless you, I'm gonna kill. I love how the first verse is talking about Chino blaming his girlfriend, while the second verse is mostly him blaming himself. Not a whole lot to say about this track. It's not one of my favorites, but it's not to the point where I'd call it a skip. I've actually grown to really appreciate this song, and I've come around on it. Lucky You is a totally different sounding song from all the other tracks thus far, for sure. This song is mainly produced by a member of Chino's side project Team Sleep, known as DJ Crook. This song also features guest vocals from Ray Osborne from the band Tin Fed. Like I said, the sound of this song is really unique on this album. A lot of people overlook this song and write it off as a safe pick for the worst song on this album. I personally love Lucky You, and the almost evil sort of sound it has. This song was also featured on the soundtrack for The Matrix Reloaded. The meaning of this song is as vague as it could be. Not a single genius annotation to this song, so it's really hard to tell exactly what it's about. The only thing that's clear is that Chino is clearly speaking directly to somebody. Honestly, I think this song is more of a standout than a weak point. Bloody Cape was released as a promo single and actually ended up getting a music video that was pretty obscure until fairly recently. This song is also one of the most heavy-hitting songs on the album sonically. This song seems to mainly be about taking a risk or a leap of faith. Considering the themes of this album, it's most likely related to a departure from love, or possibly reality itself. The song ends with one of the most brutal outros in all of Deftones' catalog. It involves the heavy-as balls riff accompanied by Chino repeatedly screaming the words, "God help me." Without a doubt, one of Deftones' most raw and aggressive tracks. Anniversary of an Uninteresting Event is easily the most mellow track on the album, a strong contrast from the aggression of Bloody Cape. This song is heavily overlooked and glossed over by many people for some reason. I think it's one of the most beautiful tracks the band has ever composed. This song is almost cinematic with its sound. If some songs leading up to this one were about Chino's relationship falling apart, this marks the end of the relationship. Chino talks about how she feels right for doing this, and he even says that she feels like a queen. The sound of this song and the lyrics make this song really feel like the relationship is dead, and this is the soundtrack of its funeral. One of the most heavenly songs that Deftones has ever written, without a doubt in my mind. Here we are at the final track on the album. Is this song a pink maggot, or is it a Rubicon? Well, It's just another song, really. This song is still really damn good, if you ask me. If it were up to me, I would have made Bloody Cape the closer, but this song works really well, too. The song's meaning is another one that is extremely vague. The only theory I have is that this is a dive into Chino's thoughts after the breakup happened. I think this makes sense because throughout the album we get to see how Chino's story plays out. Chino almost has intrusive thoughts in this song, ones that are almost violent and evil. This song is for some odd reason the least popular by quite a bit. Why this song is so heavily glossed over is a bigger mystery than what the song's about. A great song in my opinion, and a solid enough closer to such an underrated album. Deftones' self-titled album is one that dives into the mind of Chino during and after his devastating breakup. This album is what many would consider to be the darkest and most personal album Deftones has ever released. This also explains why this album has very little live history, especially in recent years, with every show after Private Music not having a single song played from it. While I'm sure me and many others love this album and want to hear more from it, I do understand how difficult it must be to look back on an album as dark and honest as this one. Make sure you join both my Discord server and the Liam Faulkner Discord server where this whole thing really started. Make sure you support the channel too if you like the video essays I make and want to see me make more of them. I truly appreciate every one of you who has supported me on my YouTube journey thus far. I hope you enjoyed watching and that you have a good one.